Hey, welcome back to 2A4A or 2A for all. Today I wanted to talk about something that doesn't get asked enough. Why do liberals own guns? For me, I didn't grow up around guns, and frankly I was scared of them. It wasn't until I met my now husband in 2011 that I had any real exposure to them. 6 months into dating, he took me to a shooting range, and I shot a rifle. It helped me understand what firepower felt like. But did it change my opinion on guns being scary? No, I was still pretty wary, and honestly, owning one for myself was never on my radar. So what changed my opinion on firearms? The short answer, exposure and knowledge. Learning to be proficient and confident in gun handling made me realize that there's more to gun ownership than what I had understood as gun culture. In that transitionary period, I realized a few things about guns that I didn't expect to. First, I've always had a really loud, kind of always moving, always talking brain. But when I'm shooting, I have to be locked in. There's no room for distractions. And I've never been able to meditate, but for me, shooting does that for me. I leave feeling more calm than when I came in. Second, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And something about shooting is you see a tangible result on paper or steel, whatever you're shooting. You know exactly how well or how poorly you're doing. Even when I'm not perfect, it pushes me to try harder to be perfect. And then, of course, the practical reason. If I'm gonna have firearms in my house, I should know how to use them. Ultimately, the purpose of this video is not to be a left versus right thing, but to be a resource for those who are like me, or who were like me, who may be on the fence or curious about firearms. And so in creating this channel, it got me wondering, why do other liberals have guns? Why did they purchase their first gun? It actually led me to Reddit, where I asked on the liberal subreddit, what made you purchase your first firearm? And the answers were fascinating. There were over 800 comments. Granted, I replied to half, so half of them are mine, but still, that's a lot of dialogue for the simple question. A large amount of the people replied said they actually purchased their first firearm because of the changing political and social climate. A lot of folks are feeling vulnerable, whether it's because they're part of a marginalized group, or if they've faced direct threats, or just don't feel as safe as they used to. There was one commenter who survived a mass shooting. They said they hid behind a dumpster with their wife, waiting for the cops to arrive. And in that moment, they said they had never felt more powerless. One queer person in that Reddit thread mentioned the Pulse nightclub shooting. They said that after that night, they felt the need to know how to protect themselves. Others talked about watching groups like the Proud Boys march in their town, sometimes with no pushback from law enforcement. And then there was one woman who said that when she heard, "Your body, my choice," she began to consider ownership. And when she found out that Kamala Harris had her own guns, it actually sealed the deal for her. There are others who grew up around guns but didn't get into personal ownership until later. Some were raised conservative and later became liberal, but still see the value in responsible gun ownership. And then there are people who just enjoy shooting as a hobby, a skill for competition, or like me, a way to relax. At the end of the day, there are so many reasons why someone might choose to own a gun. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe you're wondering, why do people like guns? Should I own a gun? Am I ready to own a gun? I'm not here to tell you yes or no. It's a personal decision. But if you're thinking about it, this is a good place to start. In future videos, I hope to expand on some of the personal stories that were shared. I also hope to interview gun owners from all walks of life, have some fun at the range, promote dialogue and foster a community, and maybe teach you a thing or two. I hope you'll join me on this journey.